The cafe was unusually quiet that morning, except for the soft hum of the coffee machine and the clinking of cups. But in the far corner, a piercing cry suddenly broke the calm. A little baby's wail filled the room, desperate and restless. Heads turned in annoyance, and whispers spread across the tables. Sitting there, looking utterly frozen and helpless, was a man in an expensive suit, a man who looked like he didn't belong in a small cafe at all. He was a millionaire CEO, yet in that moment, he was just a father who couldn't stop his baby from crying. The man's hands trembled as he tried rocking his child in his arms. He whispered, he bounced her gently, but nothing worked. His polished image crumbled in front of strangers who were watching with curiosity and judgment. This was a man used to controlling boardrooms, making deals worth millions, but now he couldn't control the tears of his own baby. At the counter stood a young waitress. Her uniform was faded, her hair hastily tied back. She had seen him walk in earlier and recognized him immediately from the newspapers. Everyone in town knew who he was. The richest man around, powerful, untouchable. But what she saw now wasn't power, it was exhaustion, vulnerability, and a silent plea for help. The baby's cries grew sharper, and the cafe grew tense. Some customers rolled their eyes, others muttered under their breath. The CEO buried his face into his hand, shame washing over him. He loved his daughter more than anything, but since her mother had left, he had been struggling alone. He had no idea how to soothe her when she became inconsolable. And then, without thinking twice, the waitress did the unthinkable. She put down her tray, walked straight to his table, and gently asked, "May I?" Her voice was calm, steady, the kind of voice babies trust instantly. The CEO looked up, startled. For a moment, pride held him back. How could he let a stranger, a poor waitress, hold his child when he was supposed to have everything under control? But one glance at his daughter's tear-stained face made the decision for him. He nodded. The waitress took the baby in her arms, holding her close to her chest. She hummed a soft tune, swaying lightly, as though the cafe had disappeared and it was just her and the little girl in the world. Slowly, almost miraculously, the cries softened. The baby's sobs turned into hiccups, and within minutes, she was resting peacefully, eyes fluttering shut against the waitress's shoulder. The cafe fell silent, not with discomfort, but with awe. Strangers who had been annoyed a moment ago now stared with softened eyes. The CEO sat frozen, his mouth slightly open, watching in disbelief. He, with all his wealth, power, and connections, hadn't been able to soothe his own child. But this young woman, who probably didn't have enough money to buy a fancy meal in his restaurants, had managed what he could not. When the waitress handed the baby back, she smiled warmly. "Sometimes, all they need is a little warmth and patience," she said simply, as if it were the easiest thing in the world. The CEO's throat tightened. He wanted to say thank you, but the words felt too small. What she had given him wasn't just a moment of peace, it was a reminder that money couldn't buy the most important things. It couldn't buy love, or comfort, or the instinct that came from a kind heart. Over the next few days, he couldn't get the moment out of his mind. He kept visiting the cafe, sometimes with the baby, sometimes alone. Each time, he found himself drawn into small conversations with the waitress. She was humble, gentle, and yet there was a strength in her that he admired deeply. He learned that she was working long hours to support her younger siblings after their parents had passed away. She didn't complain, didn't ask for pity. She simply worked hard and gave her all. The CEO saw something in her that he hadn't seen in anyone else, genuine compassion without expectation. For the first time in years, he felt understood. Slowly, the distance between the millionaire and the poor waitress began to shrink. But it wasn't easy. He faced the judgment of his wealthy circle. Friends and business partners sneered when they learned he was spending time with a waitress. "She'll never fit into your world," they warned. And she, too, felt the sting of whispers from customers and neighbors, people who believed she had no right to be close to someone like him. The challenge was not just in society's eyes, but in their own hearts. The CEO had to learn humility to accept that money didn't make him superior. The waitress had to learn to believe she was worthy of love and respect, even from a man everyone else put on a pedestal. Through all of this, the baby became the silent bond between them. She lit up whenever the waitress was near, her tiny hands reaching out, her giggles filling the cafe. It was as if the child had chosen who she wanted by her side. One evening, after closing time, the CEO lingered in the cafe. His baby was asleep in the stroller. He looked at the waitress, her tired eyes, the wear on her hands, yet the undeniable kindness in her smile. With a voice unsteady but sincere, he said, "You gave me more than peace that day. You gave me hope. My daughter, she needs someone like you. And maybe I do too." The waitress's eyes welled up. She had never imagined her small act of kindness would change the course of her life. She didn't answer right away, but she held his gaze, and in that moment, she knew this wasn't just about two worlds colliding, it was about creating a new one together. The story spread through town like wildfire. People who once whispered now saw the truth: love and kindness are not bound by wealth or status. What mattered was the heart, and the courage to follow it. By the end, the millionaire CEO had found more than a partner, he had found someone who could soothe not just his baby's cries, but also the emptiness he had carried for years. And the poor waitress, once invisible to the world, discovered that her worth had never been defined by her paycheck but by the love she carried in her heart. The cafe, once just a small corner of the city, became the place where lives changed forever. And the crying baby who brought two strangers together grew up never doubting that miracles can happen in the most ordinary places. The message was clear: true wealth isn't measured by money, but by the love, kindness, and humanity we give to others.